There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
Tonight, it's all about ADAS. That's Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. And we've invited some of the most prominent brands within the category so that you, the dealer, can maintain educated to know exactly what is out there as far as technology is concerned. From multi-channel dash cams to cross-traffic sensors, these are the brands that keep modern vehicles as safe as possible. This is CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM, the ADAS episode. And it starts now. What's going on, everybody? And thanks for tuning in this evening to another episode of CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and tonight we dive into a category that for some might be the first time they're hearing of such a weird acronym, ADAS. Others who have found great success within the category. What's important is that our job is to make sure you, the dealer, are well informed with what's going on within the category by bringing you the top brands that we're all presenting tonight. Now, if you've already tuned into CMA Networks, you know that these last few days and a couple days to go, we are in the middle of the ADAS sessions, which means each and every day at 12 p.m., we are showcasing another premium brand one at a time. So on this evening, we've got a bunch of guests lined up, all who are presenting within the ADAS sessions. And I want you to take out your notepad because there's some serious opportunities that you may just be missing out on if you're not up to date with what's going on. Let's start with our first brand. No stranger to the 12-volt industry. Of course, we're talking about a brand under the Metra umbrella known as iBeam, who is actually their ADAS-specific category brand. And we're happy enough to have their Vice President of Research Development with us this evening, Mr. Jason Anderson.
How are you, Ben?
Good evening, Jay. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're going to dive right in because guys are tuning in because they want to know what's new from iBeam. And one of the first things I know that we kind of spent some time on for sure on the show that we're broadcasting a little bit later this week, which I know you're quite excited about. And that is the no-drill parking sensor. Why is that such a big deal?
Yeah, I think that it is an exciting product because it kind of takes out the guesswork or the installer questioning themselves as they're drilling those 4 holes across the bumper, right? So this is a sensor. It's a 77 gigahertz sensor, which is on the higher end, specifically for the automotive radar, sensor range, and it projects through plastic bumpers. So the sensor actually is installed behind the bumper, and the benefit is there's only 2 sensors. So there's 2 sensors, there's 2 wires, and there's 1 calibration button, and the installation is pretty much done. So it still has the same coverage for the back of the vehicle, and it still offers the same distance as your typical backup sensor, typical backup sensors do. So we're really excited about that product. It's a really good product.
I can see the excitement, especially for dealers, because, I, for one, was always intimidated when it came to backup sensors. Usually you're right. You mentioned there's 2 in this kit. Normally is 4, right, on average. And it involved making holes into bumpers, which as an installer, I could, there's liability, there's making mistakes, there's quadruple measuring, all these things. And now you have a solution whereby A, no drilling, B, you stick it on the inside of the bumper. And I feel that maybe you can confirm this, Jason, there's probably a bunch of applications where you may not even need to remove a bumper to install it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about gaining access to the right height behind the bumper, because like all parking sensors, they need to be set to a certain height. So as long as you can gain access to that area where we're recommending that you put that sensor, then you wouldn't have to drop the bumper. There are some situations and in some vehicles where you would have to drop that bumper, but those are kind of fewer and far between, especially if an installer can be you know skilled, I guess, in his handwork. If they can't dexterity, if he can't see where he's putting
Fair
it.
enough, but I have a feeling that our viewership, this is not exactly difficult stuff. Let's put it that way for them.
No, not at
all. We're going to be jumping product to product because there's a bunch of new stuff coming up from iBeam. The next thing I want to talk about is this live stream mirror, which is like mirror / dash cam, to multi-channel dash cam solution. Tell us about it.
It is. We've had some live stream mirrors in the iBeam line in the past, and we're always looking to update and upgrade. And we really feel like this was the next step, and that's the T-LV M9. And a couple small things that we did. We upgraded the operating system to make it a little bit more stable, but we removed the touchscreen ability from the mirror, because what we found was people were getting fingerprint smudges and all that other stuff all over the mirror, and it just didn't look good. So we went to a haptic touch across the bottom of the rear view mirror. You still have all the same menu features, and you can access everything directly from those haptic touch buttons, but it just keeps that screen clean. So you of course have your DVR in the front, your camera in the front facing, and then you have your rear facing camera as well, with two mounting options, one for the interior glass and then one typical license plate lip mount bracket. So both 1080p recording. It's got parking sensor or parking watch, so in case something gets impacted, it starts recording. So it's just an overall good piece, and I think with the upgrade to the operating system, we've really got a good product on our hands with this one.
I know I was talking to Importel. That's certainly a piece that moves quite a bit for them, and I honestly, I think you're definitely going in the right direction and listening to the customers, because who the heck wants smudges on their mirror when you're like, that's terrible. You need to see, and if you've removed that from the equation, kudos. All right.
One thing I'd also like to point out with that is the length of the cable. We have it long enough so it can reach some of the longer run vehicles, like oversized, full size trucks, so Super Duty trucks and stuff like that. So and that was all feedback, so it was good. It's good to.
What was the model number on that mirror?
TE-LV M9.
TD-LV M9. Okay. Yeah. Skipping to something that I was kind of scratching my head on. And four funny letters. You know how our industry just loves these acronyms, right? LVDS camera, something I learned about. And iBeam's got some solutions for replacing said LVDS cameras with application-specific kits. Do tell.
We do. So LVDS cameras, they've been around in Chrysler world for a long time. Specifically, Jeep, right? So the new Jeep JL, the Gladiator, they have LVDS cameras in them, and there's a lot of aftermarket solutions out there to replace those radios, but those often come with a higher dollar interface to retain that LVDS camera, factory camera. So what the iBeam line did was decide to tool up some plastic, add in a higher quality iBeam camera, and change that LVDS OE camera to an aftermarket composite video camera. So with this one, these have 550 TV lines resolution, and overall, they've got the OE fitment because Metro Tools plastic. That's our backbone, right? So I mentioned the Jeep JL and the Gladiator, but we also have Dodge Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 applications, and also Chevy Silverado and Sierra. So basically, you take out the OE LVDS camera and you replace our camera, and that gives the installer or the customer to reach a specific price point that maybe that interface, that LVDS interface, would have pushed them over the top, and they wouldn't have gotten the job done. So now, if they are looking for the LVDS interfaces, the Access line has a full line of backup camera interfaces where they can add multiple cameras. But within the focus of the I-beam line, we were just putting focus on replacing that factory backup camera. So that was a solution we came up with.
Yeah,
and as more vehicles.
Yeah. I was just going to say that's a great option when replacing a source unit, right? And you want to make sure there's no surprises. The customer needs to be advised is, if we do this, we're going to have to either get an adapter, like maybe one of those access conversion kits, or here's a great option, a little, more price conscious. And there you go. Perfect. Now,
Absolutely.
You did mention access, and I know this is an I-beam kind of dialogue, but I think this is kind of hand in hand.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, and so let's say here I am, I have a vehicle, and you know what? The vehicle I really wanted had this fancy front cam and, right blind spot, left blind spot cam situation. Can consumers upgrade their stock single cam scenario to that higher end multicam scenario?
They can. And, we mentioned access. I mentioned access just a minute ago. They have a full line of vehicle specific applications that would allow them to retain the factory camera and then add an additional 3 cameras. But within the I-beam line, we have part number TE-TSI4, and it's a brand new universal analog camera switcher. So, you can take a 4 input cameras. You can trigger them independently by either a remote control little switch or joystick, or you can trigger them off of circuits like turn signals or reverse, or maybe a button to activate the front camera. So not only do we have the vehicle specific applications that communicate with the vehicle's CAN bus, but we also have some of the more universal applications that would allow somebody to purchase the I-beam version of that and have those same features without a high dollar cost, without a crazy amount of cost. So, and that's where you were talking about the joining of I-beam and access. That happens quite a bit, obviously, because we're all developing under the same
Right.
roof. So when we develop one thing, we look at other brands to see where that can apply as well. So
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, I need to mention
Mhm.
there's a bunch of new product as well on the commercial fleet, more heavy duty type vehicle situation when it comes to cameras and stuff from I-beam. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the I-beam line has a full line of both CMOS commercial cameras and then also AHD cameras. AHD being a little bit higher quality than the CMOS cameras, and then we have the monitors to go with it. So both 7 and 9 inch monitors for both applications. What I think is really interesting with our standard cameras, our standard commercial cameras, is we have a switch on the back of those CMOS cameras that can switch it between PAL and NTSC. So there's a lot of commercial cameras that are on the market right now and available online that are just PAL. Well, whenever you pair a camera up to a monitor, they all have to be the same video format, right? So if you end up finding where maybe your cameras are not compatible, our CMOS cameras, you can switch them to make them match whatever existing product you had in there before. And not to mention that the AHD cameras are much higher resolution, better looking picture, wider viewing angle. They have IR LEDs so they can see, in low light situations. Overall, great product. And we have a wide variety of different types of shapes or sizes of different cameras. So it kind of meets everybody's needs or everybody's requirements, whether it's a side view camera on a bus or a dump truck or whatever, or maybe even a front camera where it's got to be less obtrusive. The I-beam line pretty much has a solution for just about everything you're looking for. So
cool. I do like that selectable format. Like you said, you can integrate with an existing system to upgrade and not have to worry about what that was. So I think that makes it very flexible, which opens opportunities.
Yes.
Everything Jay's has spoken to tonight, you can find on the website. Let's go ahead and put up that information. It's ibeamusa.com. That's where you can go to find out about iBeam specific products. Of course, every Metro site leads to the other one. If you want to go to access, there's links there as well. And finally, if you happen to be a Canadian dealer tuning in, you'd like some more information, get a hold of our good friends at Importel, a great partner to Metro when it comes to distribution in Canada. Jason, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Ben.
Talk to you soon. All right, that was Jason Anderson representing Metro/iBeam. We're going to go up north to Montreal. Well, that's where Automobility is, but our guest, well, he's in GTA Toronto. He's our good friend, Michael Berger, representing Automobility. Mike, Mr. Vice President of Sales and Marketing. Sir, welcome to the show this evening.
Hey, Ben, how are you?
I'm really good. Now, Mike, we spoke previous to this show, and I know that Automob has always been, how can I say this, really trend-setting, when it came to ADAS, and it's more specifically dash cams, which I know you personally are quite passionate about. Help us understand the evolution of where dash cams began and how it's kind of evolved to where it is at right now with all these multi-channel solutions that we keep talking about.
So when we first started with dash cams, they were quite simple in terms of feature-wise, but at that time, I guess going back now 10 years, they were simple single-channel cameras. The SD cards were tiny in them. They were anywhere from 4 to 8 gig. The night vision was pretty much, there was no night vision. So unless you were on a well-lit street at night, you weren't going to see anything. During sunny days like we had today in Toronto, where the sun was bright, there wasn't any clouds in the sky. If you're driving towards the sun, you wouldn't see anything as well. It would just be orange or white or undistinguishable. So with dash cams, they've come a long way since then. So just from the quality of what I was mentioning just a few seconds ago.
Talking about the image so far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the image and the size of the cards that were available and the cameras could accept. It's grown. Specifications have just gone crazy in terms of that. So, one of our brands, you can go up to a terabyte now for storage on an SD card. And if you have an external SSD, you can go up to 2 terabytes. So, which is great for a fleet application. For a normal consumer application, most of the cameras, 128, 256 will more than suffice. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then, of course, the multi-channels started coming out. So, predominantly, most of our dash cam sales are minimum 2 channels. So, probably 5% are 1 channel now, because people realize that, there's the front of the car and the back of the car, and they both need coverage, because there's a lot of people running.
You're literally only getting 50% chance of capturing, what you needed to capture.
Exactly. So, and when you get hit from the rear, it's always the person that hit you from the back that's at fault, and they're usually the ones to take off, right? So they leave you sitting at an intersection with your smashed in bumper, and they're out of there. So, 2 channels is for sure a majority of our sales. Like I said, around 95%, and now we're experiencing a lot of growth in 3-channel and 4-channel systems. 3-channel mainly in the consumer market, and then the 4-channel for the commercial side.
Interesting. Okay, we're going to dive deeper now. As far as Automobility is concerned, you guys carry more than just one brand. Can you kind of break out for us these brands and the selection that you have, and maybe just highlight some of the differences or similarities between them?
So I guess the main similarity between all 3 brands, Blackview, GNet, and Thinkware, they're all made in South Korea.
Okay.
They all on the, even on some of the lower models now, they're coming with Sony Starvis sensors, which again is great for the night vision and the clarity and the ability to read license plates clearly from a distance. So that would be the similarity, and they also have a lot of similarity in terms of offering cloud storage now as well, and connectivity to the cloud and Wi-Fi to download to your phone, share it on social media, email it to your insurance company as soon as the accident happened. So that's their, majority of the similarities that they all share. I guess the differences between them would be, price points, and again, storage capacities. So that would be the main differences.
I would add one more after having the opportunity to learn a little bit. We sat down with Mike Rosenberg and went a little bit deeper on this. There's also the aesthetics. I mean, these three brands, they're all great quality, as far as the image quality, but they do look different. Like the ThinkWare, for example, physically looks very different from the Blackview, and I could see certain customers leaning towards one or the other simply based on how it looks. Because let's be honest, it's right there. I mean, you're staring at it pretty close, right? I mean, so I think the aesthetics might come into play a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's highlight a couple of the best-selling models that you would recommend. Dealers are looking at dash cams. They're listening to you. They're like, okay, we're getting serious now. We're getting into 2, 3, 4 channel. What are some of the models that are going out the door that you would definitely recommend right now?
So on the Blackview side, it's always been a bestseller for us is the DR750 series, 2CH. That's definitely one. And then the DR900, which is the 4K. And then they've just released the DR750 3CH, which is the 3-channel, so the interior cabin camera. So for Blackview, those would be our 3 top-selling models. For ThinkWare, it'd be the F200 Pro, F790, and one thing I should mention is, the default resolution at the entry point used to be 1080, full HD. It's now leaning towards 2K being the minimum resolution. Yeah, on the South Korean made on the made cameras. So. So the recently released Q1000 and of course the U1000, which gets you up to 4K. And then on GNet, it would be the N2, which is similar to the F200 Pro. The main difference being a locking SD card, and it comes with a larger SD card in the package. And the Geon 3, which is a 3-channel system, again with the interior camera, 2K front, full HD rear, and 1080 inside. And then the GT900, which is the 4-channel system, which is the commercial one.
You mentioned 4-channel being popular with commercial, but I want to highlight that 3-channel one. I learned this just this week. Super popular with delivery, as like Uber drivers, Lyft drivers. Yeah. They get the front, they get the rear, and they get the interior. So that 3-channel thing is just like kind of blown up, for sure.
Well, it's funny because I was actually at Sebastian's, who you had on last week, and he was doing a dash cam, a 3-channel dash cam, and an Uber driver that came in because he was having trouble with his customers at night, right?
Literally, if dealers listening in, you put an ad on Facebook or wherever you're doing your advertising saying that you could equip. Are you an Uber driver? Are you a Lyft driver? We can equip you with a security 3-channel system. Promise you're going to get some calls.
Yeah, they need to protect themselves. So the drivers.
Absolutely. So. And which segues to my final question, Mike, which, you're the sales guy. I want to talk business tonight and get dealers inspired, right? Why is it important that dealers need to capitalize on this category that obviously Automobility has had the foresight and have the success in, but there's a lot of dealers that haven't. I know dealers for a fact just haven't figured out how to, capitalize this situation and get that consumer. Because, and I just want to, preface this with something. I've heard firsthand from dealers saying, well, dash cams, they go pick that up at these big box retailers, right? The quick grab and go. That's not what we're talking about here tonight. So I want you to kind of evolve what I'm saying here.
So every morning I wake up, I put CP24 on, and it's the only category I've ever sold that I get free advertising every morning from the police saying, if you have dash cam video, please send it in. Okay. And it's on all day. And it's for a variety of instances. It's because of an accident, it's because of, unfortunately, a shooting or a stabbing or whatever the case may be. But every morning, guaranteed, the police are asking for dash cam video if you have it, and to send it to them. So that's number one. It's it's advertising for our industry that's guaranteed in the GTA every day. Okay, so people wake up. I'm sure they listen to the radio, watch TV while they're getting ready for work, and that's the first thing they're going to hear. Secondly, it's really a category that's for the customers that have embraced it, and I see the sales and I see the ones that have embraced it and I see the numbers they're doing, and then when I'm out on the road and I'm trying to say, hey, you got to get in this. You already got somebody in your shop getting a remote starter or an audio system or a deck. It's a no-brainer. Like, and some have listened and jumped on and are happy they did, and some still need some more coaxing, I guess.
Well, I guess that's why we're all here today, to try to coax dealers and understanding this is a segment that is prime for opportunity. Again, Michael, thank you so much for coming in. You mentioned three different brands: Blackview, Thinkware, as well as GNet. All three of them available. If you're in Canada, go ahead and give the folks at Auto Mobility a call. Automob.ca is the website. They pretty much got you covered when it comes to dash cams, that's for sure. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Ben.
Take care. All right, that was Dashcam Talk with Michael Berger from Auto Mobility. Let's shift gears a little bit. We're going to broaden the ADAS discussion because we're going to go to, well, a company which literally focuses on ADAS products. Literally. They are under the AMP Global umbrella. The brand, of course, is called EchoMaster. And with us this evening is their Director of Training and Events, Mr. Jeff Smith.
Hey, Ben.
Mr. Jeff, how are you this evening?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, we're talking ADAS, man. It's kind of exciting because it's new. It's fresh. There's a lot of new stuff going on. And no exception when it comes to the EchoMaster camp. So first and foremost, obviously it's an established brand within, its own right. It's part of the AMP global family. But let's give the people who might be experiencing or hearing about this brand for the first time just a quick background as to who EchoMaster is.
Yeah, so EchoMaster was a brand that we acquired in 2015-16 when we purchased Rosen Electronics. EchoMaster has been in business years before that, and EchoMaster pretty much has been the king, or so to speak, the big guy in the parking sensor area for many, many years with patented park alert technology and things like that. EchoMaster has made strides in a lot of commercial and consumer type safety products, even to the point to where the products became so well known that the OEs started looking at EchoMaster to produce a lot of the OE sensors. So we have a lot of products that are still, not only do we make the product that our retailers see here in the States and, there in Canada and other places around the world, but the fact that we do so much OE business under the EchoMaster name is a big deal as well.
So obviously that OE manufacturing pedigree carries through. That's something that's important that dealers understand. And speaking of OE, the first item on my list I want to talk about is a unique package available to owners of GM trucks. And it's a pretty unique package, and it's called the IntelliHaul package. Can you tell us more?
Right. So IntelliHaul is a system that we have been building for GM since 2014. So this isn't something new. The only thing that we have done is we have advanced the product from IntelliHaul 1.0 to IntelliHaul 2.0. So IntelliHaul 1.0 started off with an interface that plugs into the original data bus system of a GM or Chevrolet or GMC Sierra, Tahoes, Escalades, even the SUVs. We made replacement mirror caps that had the 70-degree blind spot cameras pre-molded at the proper angles and things like that to go right into those vehicles. No holes drilled. Drop the cameras into the replacement parts. Run the wires directly in through the boots. We even added a front camera. The reverse camera was either factory installed, or you could add a camera if the vehicle was a lower trim level defeatured. But the big thing about IntelliHaul was that we, according to how we do things by blending our brands together, you take the safety side of EchoMaster, blend it with the data bus integration from PAC, and now we can actually represent and show a user interface on the OE screen, not an aftermarket screen, and then give you 4 cameras to show you the front of the vehicle, the reverse, and left and right blind spots. But then we even added an additional input to give you a trailer cam or an inside vehicle cam. You could do whatever you want. If you want a nanny cam to take view of the kids in the back seat, or a third row if it's SUV, or if you have a trailer and you want to monitor, whether you have livestock in the back, or if you have off-road vehicles you're towing, or even if you want to do a Chimzo camera, right? The third brake light cameras that we talk about during
Keep those acronyms coming. Keep those acronyms coming.
We talked about those a lot during our connected session earlier in the week. But that Chimzo camera can even keep an eye on the fifth wheel if you're towing things, right? So we give you all of this information visually to go back into the vehicle, and we do it through data. So there's no need for cutting and looking for signals and things like that. Plug into the vehicle and you can get all this information. So that's Chimzo 1.0 and 2.0. So we go from 14 to 19 plus classic, and then we go 19 and newer. And then we're actually getting ready to start working on a newer version, because GM has once again changed that new head unit in 23 and gone to this long widescreen and resolution, because the more these screens get better and better with the OEs, like we're going to have to keep increasing resolution and doing more things.
Oh, we're going to be talking about resolution for sure. Now, just before to round out this conversation about IntelliHaul, this was actually a factory installed option at dealership level, was it not?
Correct. Yeah. So we actually offered this to GM first. And once they had the product for, I forget what the time period is, then they allowed us to then start selling it to aftermarket guys. So this isn't a product that's just hey, let's go grab some parts and make this piece. No, this is something we had to engineer from the ground up to be OE quality for connection, OE quality for camera vision, OE quality camera build, OE connectors, everything. The electronics themselves, 100% OE. So these are the same parts we sell to retailers that we sell directly to the GM accessory departments.
Brilliant. Awesome package. If you're lucky, if you're a GM owner and this is within your budget to do, super slick package. Can't get better. Okay, you mentioned higher definition. Definitely something I want to talk about, because EchoMaster pushing the envelope as far as camera technologies. HD, that's all I see coming out from your catalog. Why is this so important as an initiative?
Well, because just like anything else, right? If we want to go back and kind of talk about the evolution of LCD panels, right? Or now LED panels, right? So we literally started off, you remember back in the earlier days of mobile video, we started off, everyone thought it was a big deal to have a 4-inch screen in the dash, right? Went from 4-inch to 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch, right? So the more and more the screen size increases, the detail of the camera image needs to change as well and become higher resolution. So one of the biggest things that we've done is we've noticed that the larger the screen, the higher definition you can push into that screen. So now we are really looking at producing, we have one new camera that we talked about on our connected, where we have a universal camera that can be a lip mount or a tag frame that is going to be a standard 720 HD resolution. So this is a huge improvement over 480. And then there's some gray area there for some other cameras above 480 and less than 720, but 720 is the minimum for HD. There is a huge clarity difference, a huge detail difference when you go to 720. So moving that route and seeing as how we even have our own head unit that has the capability, and other manufacturers have optically bonded screens that can do amazing resolutions, we are literally going to start making an entire line of cameras that are all HD compliant, 720 and above for all of our aftermarket.
And what is the connection? Single.
It's still an RCA.
Still an RCA video.
Still an RCA, still a universal RCA, and we have our own proprietary connector beyond that. That's going to be the same for every camera, so you don't have to go searching for different cables. But yeah, moving forward, we really want to increase the visual quality, because you need to be, people are becoming more and more used to better visual representation. just like Jason from Metro talked about the Jeep Wrangler. So we actually maintain that high resolution camera in our high 10 kit. And that literally opened up so many avenues to go further and further down the road to create higher resolution cameras, because consumers' eyes have been open and they want these higher resolution cameras.
Have you seen what we carry around in our pockets?
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Exactly.
All right. Now let's switch gears. We're talking about HD cameras. And you mentioned Jeeps. There are certain applications, Jeep's one of them, that could definitely benefit from like a better view out the back because of obstructions that are just part of the design, right? Type of vehicle. And I understand the EchoMaster may have some solutions for some of these specific applications.
Yeah, so in the Jeep Wrangler, it's like I mentioned this a lot. The Jeep Wrangler is like the S10 of the heyday, you know.
Mini
Jeep
trucking,
Wranglers,
man.
mini,
Mini
right?
trucking.
So there's a million accessories if you're a Jeep owner. I mean, interior, exterior accessories. Like, people go crazy because they don't know where to start. There's so many accessories. But where we focus on is Jeep safety, because as soon as you get a Jeep, what's the first thing you do? 9 times out of 10, you put big wheels and tires on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a big tire on the back of your Jeep and you can no longer see out your back window, right? So now what are you going to do? So we came up with the clear view mirror system that allows you a full 1080p resolution camera for the reverse, because we put the camera outside the vehicle. So now you can see beyond the vehicle. So nothing behind the driver's seat, nothing in the rear seat, nothing on the back of the vehicle limits your visitation or visibility. We even include a front dash cam that's 1080. We even include the ability for you to add to the OE screen left and right blind spot cameras that bolt into the vehicle, single bolt cameras, right?
I need to stop you. You guys need to check out this connector we did and see how slick these blind spot cameras are. They are just the sweetest piece, even felt on the inside of the bracket to not scratch your paint. Just saying.
Right. Yeah, so it's one of those things that we take a lot of our universal parts and then we make it vehicle specific by making vehicle fitment brackets, right? So Jeeps, what do people do when it's warm outside? They take the doors off. When you take the doors off, you lose two of your biggest safety peripherals, and that's your side view mirrors. So now that you've lost those, having the project name Biscuit, the BSC kits for Jeep JK and JL. we
acronyms.
we make these camera kits so that you can bolt them to the vehicle, doors on, doors off. You're still going to have full view down the left and right of your vehicle to protect those blind spots. Front cameras, we even do some, I think we'll talk about it later. We even do some underbody cameras that are
you kind of read my mind. My final question is one of the most exciting kits and more innovative and unique products that I think are on the market right now. We're talking about cameras. We're going to stick on Jeep and maybe beyond Jeep. Like, I don't want to, it could go many different places. The demos I've seen so far have been on Jeep. And we're talking about the new Terrain View package. So really a must-have, in my opinion, for the off-road enthusiast.
Right. So the Terrain View takes another high definition camera system, and it allows you to switch these cameras, according to the head unit you're going to use, between CVBS, normal 480, or HD, right into the camera system or standalone monitor. And you have the ability to place 4 cameras anywhere on your vehicle so that you can actually keep an eye on where you're wheeling. If you're going off into lake beds, up sides of mountains and trails and things like that, you can watch your suspension. You can watch the rocks you're climbing over. You can do anything you want and record it into the DVR that's built into the brain, right? So this system is not just for Jeeps. This is for any vehicle that you want to monitor the terrain under or around your vehicle through this 4-camera system. You get a wireless remote control that you can switch between up to 15 different views on your screen. And we kind of go into that and give some visual representation in the connected that we did for the ADAS category. But there's so many opportunities now for people to capture all this footage. Social media, I mean, these guys
Jeff, I want to say something.
Yep.
If you are a dealer and you have Jeep customers, show them this product. They will lose their mind when you show them this product. When you see the control arms going and you see the clearance over the rocks, and dude, you want it, you need it. And how many screen options were there? Like, it's ridiculous. 15 different views, split screen, T inline, all of it. It's crazy.
Yep, everything.
Terrain View.
Yep, Terrain View.
All right. You want more info on all this EchoMaster gear? Here's the website. EchoMaster.com is the website. And if you happen to be in Canada, you got two choices. AMP's got two distributors. You can either call the good folks at Gentech International or get a hold of Automob. Two distributors, your choice. They can get you EchoMaster gear if you happen to be in Canada. Thank you so much for coming in, Jeff. Always a pleasure having you, sir.
Not a problem, Ben. Have a great night.
You too. All right, that was Jeff Smith from AMP Global representing EchoMaster. So, Jeff, quite proud to talk about the pedigree within the OE market. Well, my next guest was certainly just as proud to also have that same claim. We're talking about Rostra, a brand from Vox Electronics, and we have their marketing director with us this evening, Mr. Bill Simmons.
Hey, Ben.
Bill, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You heard, I mean, Jeff was very proud, and you are no less proud, I'm sure, as well, to be associated with a brand that operates at an OE level.
Very much so, yes, sir.
Which will be my first question. You know, Rostra has a rich history, of course, being a top-level OE supplier and manufacturer of goods. And why is this so important to translate that to the dealer level, that they need to understand why that's important?
Yeah, I think it's a great first question to start with. One thing I really like talking about a lot, not just for Rostra Accessories, but for our parent company, Vox Electronics as well, is company history. I think anybody that's on this panel with us here tonight can tell you that the only constant in this industry is change. Products come and go. Unfortunately, companies come and go. And I think from a retail installer's perspective, it's really good to deal with companies that actually have a deep manufacturing history that they know from way back and they know will be around for decades more as well. Now, in terms of Rostra products that we like to offer and the Vox aftermarket products as well, one thing we really like for a lot of the dealers to know is that the products that you're getting in the aftermarket are actually coming out of the same facility where we manufacture a lot of the OE products. Some products I can talk about, some products I can't talk about. But we want customers to know that, of course, the companies have been around for many years, going to be around for many years more. In previous conversations I've had with you, Ben, I've talked a little bit about how sometimes here in the office, I'll stumble across installation products for products that have been around since the 1970s, products that have been offered before I was even born. And there's probably not a month that goes by that we don't get an email from somebody through our website saying that I've had this cruise control, for example, installed on my car since the 1980s, and it's finally failed, and I'd like to get another one because the first one lasted so long. So we like to share that stuff with the retail installers, just to let them know that, as you mentioned, the company's got a really deep manufacturing history, and that's something we plan to continue too.
And you know what? That's important that we start with that because it sets a precedence. We've now put the bar at a certain place so we can continue this dialogue knowing that we're here and above. So, Rostra, from a product offering standpoint, we're talking about a complete catalog of cameras, monitors for both consumer and for fleet as well. But what are some of the unique features that make this category for Rostra specifically stand out?
I look at that in two different ways, both falling under kind of the same heading of product interoperability. Over the past few years, Rostra has worked really hard to make sure that all of the cameras that we offer have connectors on them that, of course, match all of the monitors that we offer. And then beyond that as well, we also offer a wide range of adapters that actually allow you to adapt Rostra monitors and Rostra cameras to products that are actually offered by our competitors as well. So again, similar to the story that I just told you about needing to replace components on a car from years ago, we get people that inquire with us saying that I'm working on a fleet vehicle that has a camera that's failed. The monitor still seems to be working okay. What can you offer me to actually replace, just this simple backup camera that's on the back of a truck? And with the wide range of adapters that we have, we can usually, without any issue, offer somebody a complete replacement backup camera with all of the connectors that they need to put in between to actually make the two components talk together and work well together.
Yeah, and I do need to make a point here. You have the image up. The proprietary connector for Rostra Video is pretty much as heavy duty as I have ever seen.
Yeah, indeed. You and I actually had a great conversation just a couple of days ago for the folks that are watching at home that want to go back and watch that CMA workshop where we talked about why we standardized to this 4-pin thread together connector, how it's superior to things like traditional RCA and composite cables. And then, of course, as I mentioned already, the adapters that you need to go from this tougher connector over to those RCA cables, if that's what you happen to find in the vehicle.
The theme I'm getting the sense of here is overbuild, right? Always overbuild, overbuild. Well, I think overbuilding plays hand in hand with this card that Rostra plays. And because really, if anything I learned from that session, that workshop that we did, Bill, product testing at Rostra is no joke. Like,
Indeed.
I mean, like I had to be like, what? This is what, are you serious? This is what they do?
Yeah.
Give us an idea of some of the benchmarks that you guys
Sure.
put into place that every single product in the catalog with the Rostra name must undergo.
Sure. Yeah. So the conversation that you and I had on Monday features a lot of information about the environmental and the stress testing that we actually do on our products. So again, anybody wants to go watch that CMA workshop, that'd be good to do. But just a couple of the highlights. First and foremost, before we release products to the public or to the installers, we put everything that we sell through 1,000 hours worth of testing. So whether we're talking about a camera or we're talking about a monitor or a Bluetooth system, we put all of these products through multiple tests to see if or how they'll fail and where we can actually make them better, so that you, as the retail installer, don't actually get a vehicle that comes back needing to have something replaced. First and foremost, we do vibration testing. That's just simulating a vehicle being used day in and day out, driving around on the road. We do shock drop testing to test our products to see if a vehicle hits a heavy pothole, if that's going to cause some damage to the product. We do outbound shipping testing, where we actually put our products in the master pack cartons that we use, and we simulate what it takes to actually get a product from our warehouse doors to your retail shop.
I'm sorry. You see my reaction? Like, this is so over the top. Who tests the shipping durability of a product?
It's heavy duty.
I mean,
but
that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
Sorry,
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you
I'm
off.
sure you've seen some videos online of some UPS guys and some FedEx guys throwing
I've seen it at my doorbell. I've seen them.
So yeah, we do the vibration testing. We do kind of like the machine that you see here beside me. We do environmental testing, cycling temperatures on our products up and down to great extremes to see how they'll react to extreme heat or extreme cold. And then beyond that, we also put our products through salt fog and humidity testing, testing to see, for example, a camera that's on the outside of a vehicle. Is salt fog or is humidity and moisture, are those things going to get into the body of the camera and ruin the electronics? And or is it going to do the same for the connector? If it gets into the connector and causes corrosion on the inside of the connector and the camera stops working, that's a vehicle that comes back to you needing to be repaired. So yeah, as you mentioned, we put the products through a lot of testing so that the installers and the customers can know that once they have this product on the vehicle, it's going to be durable and it's going to hold the test of time.
We're going to tie that together in the final question, but before we get there, we've talked about the pedigree of the brand.
Yeah.
Right, in the history. Now we talked about rigorous, over-the-top, redonkulous testing. I'm going to call it redonkulous. And now the final thing I want to ask you about is certifications.
Sure.
Rostra, Vox. There are a lot of processes that have third-party involvement as far as certification is concerned.
Yes.
And so, what are these certifications that Vox and Rostra currently possess, and why is that important?
Sure. A couple of different reasons, but as you can imagine, if you were just a standalone company and you never invited anybody in from the outside to actually take a look at the processes that you use for your manufacturing, it's possible that you could start making a mistake, and that could carry over to all of the products that you have in your product line. So one thing that our Rostra has always done, and our parent company Vox does as well, is actually invite outside third parties in to look over the manufacturing process that we put in, both for the aftermarket products and on the OE side as well, to make sure that we as a company, of course, are manufacturing the products themselves to the utmost abilities. So yeah, we do invite third-party companies to come in.
Is this an evaluation process?
It is, and it's a voluntary thing. Companies don't necessarily have to do this.
I see.
But of course, you can invite this third party in to get certified, saying that your manufacturing process and the environment in which your products are being manufactured is a very good one. And then, of course, you can get these certifications that, we of course need them on the OE side of the business. We have to be able to show that, we have a quality manufacturing process. But back to the very first point that we made, the products that we're manufacturing, on the OE side that require this certification. That also blends over to the products that we offer to the aftermarket as well. So, again, it just goes back to the installer having confidence that they're ordering products that are made in a good facility, and they're going to arrive to them in good condition because it's been tested over and over and over. And so we just like to make those available for people to see. It's kind of a feather in your cap, showing the work that you're willing to do to actually make sure that the end consumer, the person that's driving the vehicle, has a quality product on it.
We're going to tie this all together, Bill. We talked about those 3 points, right? We talked about the history. We talked about the rigorous testing. Now you're talking about certifications. Why go through all this rigmarole? Why take this opportunity to message these points rather than, talking about product? Because we could have easily talked about specific product today. Why was this important to you to do that?
Yeah, we absolutely could. And I mean, one thing to keep in mind is that Rostra and our parent Vox, as one company, of course, offer everything under the sun. It is, a single source in which, you can get everything that you need. From an installer's perspective and a retail distributor just trying to figure out where they should get their products, again, we have everything under one roof. And, whether we're talking about an ADAS product or any other, creature comfort product that somebody might add to their car, the rules are kind of the same. You want to make sure that the customer ends up with a good product on the car. It saves you as the installer a lot of time. Again, it's making sure that those comebacks on vehicles don't actually happen, and at the same time, making sure you've with somebody else that was on our workshop here, you reference liability. And that's one thing you have to think about. If you're adding components to your vehicle that don't function in the way that they're meant to, then perhaps your driver, perhaps you as a company owner, perhaps even the installer could be liable for damages. So we like to put ourselves and our products through that testing so that the installer on the down at the end of the line knows that they have quality products.
I think you've made every effort to emphasize that point and drive that message home. If you want to find out about the products, let me warn you, it's a big catalog, but you're going to find it at rostra.com. Every application is there. I've been to the website many times. Check that out. And if you happen to be in Canada and you're like, yep, I like what Bill is saying. This makes sense. I'm quoting some municipal deals right now. I want to make sure I have the right products. Gemsen.com. Gemsen is the Canadian representation as far as all brands and items pertaining to Vox Electronics. Bill, thank you so much for joining us this evening and educating us on the Rostra brand. And of course, I look forward to our next chat.
Thank you, Ben. See you next time.
Take care. Yep. All right. Let's boogie on down the avenue here. We got 2 more great brands to go. This one here just went on the air with him today. Great product. Again, this is in the dash cam category. Some unique features. We've got Importel's brand manager. His name is Jaron Milan. I call him the 12-volt Viking. What's going on, Jaron?
How's it going, Ben?
We are learning tonight, man. We're like in cruise control, trying to absorb as much information as we can in the ADAS category.
Was cruise control a Rostra crack, or?
Right. A little bit. But no doubt about it, dash cams is a huge part of it. We call them dash cams, but we're going to go beyond the dash on this conversation. I know that for a fact. The brand at hand, we're talking about Mio. So why don't you give us a little bit of insight as to who Mio is and where does Mio fit within this segment?
Well, Mio is kind of a relative newcomer to the North American market. It's not super well known like some of the other ones out there, but they prided themselves on quality cameras, reliable cameras, great image tuning. And let's not forget, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing about a dash cam is to capture good quality video that you can go back on and get evidence from. All the bells and whistles are great, but most of what you're after is quality footage in case something happens. I call it good car insurance.
If not great car insurance.
If not great car insurance. So Mio has very good car insurance. If you watch the Connected episode that we did earlier today, we go in depth into the Mio software and everything and the evidence that you get pulled from these videos, and it's just top notch.
Okay. I'm going to ask you another question, but you just mentioned something that kind of triggered me because I just went through that training with you. I have to say what Jaron is referring to is there's two ways to interact with your video, right? So you have the MyView phone application, which, Android or Apple, which is great. You see, you can do live time, all the basic stuff you would expect from an app. What Jaron is referring to is the desktop application, which is just next level. It actually incorporates, obviously, we're talking about the models with GPS, incorporates Google Maps. Take a look at the connected guys. He shares the screen. Really, really cool. You show that to your customer, they're like, I want that. Okay. We're talking about Mio Dashcam as a brand. You're mentioning it's kind of newer in the market, but great picture quality. But also something that stood out for me that I want to kind of ask you about is the tremendous amount of testing for a dash cam company. I was quite impressed with the videos that I've seen.
Yeah, and like when I say new in the market, new in the North American market, like they're number one.
Fair enough.
Their number one market segment in Taiwan, Japan are a huge market segment, and these are massive dash cam markets. Like they put us to shame on the dash cams they sell there. But we want to talk about their testing. So being in those markets, you need a quality piece to go to consumers with. If you go to consumers with a piece that's half designed, half put together, we'll take this piece, and you're not testing it, you're going to end up giving the consumer something that has a potential to fail. So Mio goes through a battery of over 50 tests and stuff that you wouldn't even think about. Like me and you were watching some of these videos and it's like, I would have never thought of that, but okay, we'll test that type of stuff. So stuff like high temperature, low temperature, which for sure we're going to have in Canada, your minus 30 to your plus 60 within the car on those hot plus 30 days where it's sweltering. Static electricity shock.
Yeah, that was interesting for sure. Static.
Yeah, static shock can shut down processors and cameras and everything. Obviously, vibration testing, drop testing when it happens that the camera falls off the windshield. Everyone's had it happen. It's not going to break at that point. They get into waterproof testing with the camera we'll talk about later. It's a little hint to that. But then like mechanical testing. So they're testing buttons being pushed over and over and over and over and over again. So in that life of the camera, you're still knowing that that's still going to work 4 or 5 years down the road.
I think the number I saw was 110,000 button pushes.
Yes.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also their electromagnetic interference, their RF frequencies, making sure it's not going to interfere with any other electronics in your car, because the camera is broadcasting and everything.
Now, I kind of touched on it, maybe might have spoiled it a little bit, but we got to talk about it because the GPS technology built into these Mio dashcam systems is incredibly important. So I want you to kind of expand on that, please.
Well, GPS is definitely really important to a dash cam. And again, back to the evidence thing and tied in with their desktop software that's integrated with Google Maps. So you can actually see the route you're going. And the GPS they're using, Mio is a subsidiary of a company called MyTech. So MyTech actually owns Magellan. So Magellan's dash GPSs, right? So if you're using the same software GPS signals as a dash GPS mount that's directing you where you need to go, obviously your GPS tagging is going to be on point. And another thing that we can tie into the ADAS category on that is their proprietary speed on green cam alert. So the database they have in North America or Europe or wherever for the speed cams that gives you that warning when it's coming up. That all uses that GPS function on board of the camera. So no additional add-ons. If they say a camera has GPS, it's all built in. Nothing else to add. Easy. Put it on your windshield. Hardwire it.
And really, we're only talking about, and we should mention this, of course, again, watch the show, but we're only talking about 2-3 SKUs from a dash cam perspective. So we're not talking about this giant catalog. It's pretty easy, good, better, best scenario. Now, this is kind of subjective, but I've noticed, and this is something that I've kind of noticed through these trainings, there seems to be 2 schools of thought when it comes to the aesthetics and the presence of a screen on dash cams. So some of the higher models, we're talking 2-channel models here. Mio definitely has the screen. So I'd like to hear why that is when we see some other brands going away with the screen.
There definitely is the call or need for going away from the screen from a lot of consumers. They want to use their phone for everything. Everyone always has their phone on you. I'm sure everyone on this video could have reached out and grabbed their phone off their desk because it's sitting right there. But you don't always necessarily want to reach for your phone in the car is one thing. And to me, to be able to set up a camera, not have to connect my phone, all the settings are buttons on the side, and I can physically see what's going on that screen, then I know the camera's set up and good. I can change my options. Done. And then it's also a good witness to make sure that your camera is recording, is working properly. Every morning,
especially when you have two.
Yeah. Every front and rear shows both pictures on the front. You know it's recording. Every morning you turn on your car, start driving, and my screen pops up on my camera, on my Mio cam. And I know it's recording. I can see his video. There's a little blinking thing and it says recording. Actually, I went out to a little story here in between our episodes. I went out to grab dinner and I forgot to put my SD card back in my camera. So
right, because you took
it popped up and said no SD card. Yep, that's sitting on my desk. So again, that's something like, yeah, my camera might pop up and talk to me if I don't have a screen, but it's a good visual representation of what's going on in your car. And yeah, I'm a very visual person. I don't know about you, Ben.
You're not the only one. And I feel like it could go either ways. I don't think there's a winner or a right or a wrong. But clearly there are some justifications of why having that screen on. And one of them is that visual confirmation that, hey, this system I paid for, it's working this morning.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good one. Finally, we save the kind of new and fun stuff at the end. Not that this wasn't fun, but this new rider cam system from Mio, specifically designed for our two-wheeled enthusiasts, or maybe beyond that. Tell us all about it.
So this kind of stems from being definitely in the Taiwan market. It's a very populous country, to say the least. So not everyone has cars. So they're also fully integrated into the motorcycle segment as well, motorcycles and scooters in Taiwan and the Asian market. So this is a 2-channel, fully waterproof, installed dash cam, front and rear for both, super compact, super small. They've even gone as far as to provide me with like install diagrams for certain motorcycles. Like this is the best practice on these bikes. This is where it goes, because in their markets, they're selling these at the dealer level. Like you're buying a camera, you're buying a motorcycle. It's like buying a vehicle here for them. And you're installing this when you're purchasing the vehicle, because it's so important to visually represent a camera or have that evidence footage on the camera, and still has a bunch of the great Mio features built into it, like GPS tagging. It has the app ability, Sony Starvis chipset for image processing for those low light conditions, so you can really get that good quality video out. IP67 waterproof rating on it. It's a great piece.
No, I mean, I don't know how to say this other than, man, if you're riding a motorcycle, get yourself this kit. Like, there is no vehicle that probably requires it more. Not that all don't. I think all vehicles should. But if I had to choose one, certainly the motorcycle is one of those situations where you want that coverage. Now, this was not on script, but you just mentioned something, and I have to talk about it real quick. Nobody else has mentioned this. Expediter business potential for dash cam category.
Yes, it's a huge potential. I think if you pitch it to a customer as an Expediter, show the product to a customer, they're going to put it in their vehicle.
This is a hardwired. If you show them a 2-channel system for their premium, any vehicle, family, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's the beauty of this. It doesn't matter what the vehicle is. They all need insurance. Yeah. Every single one of them need to be insured. That's all. That's the funny part. It's just like, it's like remote start. Doesn't matter what kind of car. It needs to be remotely started. Same type of, if we can apply that type of mentality and that type of thinking towards in the next few years, I think we're going to see a huge explosion in this category.
Yeah, I think it's definitely another market vertical that could take off. Like, I think 20 years ago wasn't that common to be like everyone needed a remote starter in their car, right? And that market slowly took off. Like, let's do the same thing. A lot of vehicles are coming with remote starters. Let's switch the game a little bit and put something else in.
There you go. Jaron, thank you so much for the info. If you want more info on Mio dash cam, Mio products, even that new rider cam system, check out mio.com. One hint of advice: I've been to this site. Just make sure you select Canada, where the little globe is, and then you'll see what models there are specific to our market. And if you are interested in becoming a Mio dealer, well, get a hold of our friends at Importel, importel.com. Jaron is standing by to take your order. Thanks so much, Jaron, for sticking with us this evening.
Thanks, Ben.
Take care. Our final brand tonight is arguably one of the most recognized brands in 12-volt electronics, and that is, of course, Pioneer. I had the chance to catch up with Mr. Harry Kroll, who is their national trainer, to tell us all about Pioneer's offering within the ADAS category. Here's how it went. Tonight, so we can talk a little bit about ADAS and Pioneer.
Hey, Ben, thanks for inviting me on. It's great. At Pioneer, I think that maybe not everybody recognizes that we've kind of been in the ADAS business since you can argue, the early 1990s. Okay, because not everybody knows that Pioneer invented the in-vehicle GPS navigation system all the way back in about 1991, 92. And the thing was, by our standards today, it was kind of ridiculous. The GPS antenna was literally the size of like an American football that had to go on the roof of your vehicle. And the mapping in the United States was terrible at the time. But it was the first in-vehicle GPS navigation system. Now, other companies had invented navigation systems, but they were using dead reckoning, which is measuring wheel rotations, that sort of thing. This used GPS. And if that's not a driver assistance program, I don't know what is. So, what came along not long after that is directly selling to RVs and RV manufacturers with these products. And the RV manufacturers came to us and they said, you know what, we love these in-dash receivers with navigation, but you really need a backup camera to go with this. We got into the camera business all the way back in the 1990s.
So obviously the camera business is not new, and thank you for educating us on that, Harry. But on that topic, there is a backup camera option that Pioneer offers, don't they?
Yeah, we do. It's called the ND-BC8, and that's available all through North America and has been around for a couple of years now. And the model number at the end of it is number 8. And that'll tell you that's the 8th version of this particular camera that's been available, again, since the mid-1990s. And there have been a handful of other cameras along the way, backup cameras along the way, too. And as of 2022, every single Pioneer in-dash receiver that has a video screen works with a backup camera. All right. And so that has been kind of part of our deal since, I don't know, maybe 2000 or so, to offer a backup camera, and every video screen works with a backup camera. Now, those have been RCA inputs, for a composite RCA input on the backup camera since we started doing that, and it still is today. Though we're seeing more and more transition into an HDMI connection for this sort of thing. And so as we kind of measure the marketplace as, where is the sweet spot in the marketplace to do this, we're going to make that transition over a little bit of time.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, obviously, in the camera segment, a lot has evolved. And as you can see from all the guests this evening, dash cams is kind of a hot ticket right now. It's becoming really relevant. And Pioneer's coming to play right out the gate with some multi-channel systems. Let's talk about that. What is the current offering from Pioneer as of right now in the multi-channel dash cam category?
Right. So it's worth noting that we've been in the camera business for a long time, and moving into the dash cam is certainly different than a backup camera. But I can take some of that experience from the backup cameras that we've had over many years and apply that to a multi-channel dash cam. And by, just in case you hadn't heard some of the other things, what we mean by a multi-channel dash cam is a minimum of two cameras in the vehicle. One probably pointing forward, observing what's coming at you, and another one maybe pointing out of the back of the vehicle. But we have options to point those cameras to the inside of the vehicle as well, should you be like a rideshare driver or something like that, and you need protection inside the vehicle. But the experience that you gather from years and years of making vehicle cameras, Ben, is the way to develop the image so that the image is usable to the driver. Okay, and you can bring the specifications and say, oh, I got 4K or 8K or 900K, whatever it is. Yeah, good for you. But can you use that image? And what you learn developing backup cameras is when you put the vehicle in reverse, is the sun pointing right at that camera. And if the sun's pointing at that camera, is the whole screen overexposed and blown out and you can't see anything? Well, can your camera and your screen compensate for that so it's still usable? And at nighttime, when you put the vehicle in reverse, is the backup lights on the vehicle, do they light up behind you enough for you to see with your camera, or do you need better low light visibility? And what about when you put the brakes on and everything behind you is bathed in red light? Can your camera use that red light to make it appear as white? These are all things that you need to learn as you use cameras. Well, we can apply a lot of that to our dash camera technology. And we use a Sony Starvis chip. And Starvis means, in case you didn't know, it means starlight visibility. You can literally see things with only starlight using this type of chip. And there are many varieties of these chips. They are not all made the same. We choose to use very high quality Starvis chips because they are the best maker of these things right now. There's just no arguing that topic. And we buy them directly from Sony and use them in our cameras. And they give you excellent low light visibility, capability to get a proper resolution and a proper exposure so that you can see things like, for example, the license plate of another vehicle if it should cause a problem for you. Yeah, okay, you can see a car, but can you actually identify the car? The image is what matters, not the specifications about what your camera might be able to do in some laboratory.
It's a little bit like the whole amplifier 10,000 watts scenario, if you know what I mean, when it comes to the resolution sometimes. It absolutely is. Let's hone in a little bit. So what is the exact offering? How many models are we talking about in this multi-channel system?
So we have two. This is September, or it's October now, right? I missed a month. Yeah, it's October of 2022, and we have two cameras available in North America. That is the Vrec Dh300d. That's kind of the higher end one, and there's the Vrec Dh300d. That's sort of the lower end one. So the Vrec Dh300d is a dual channel camera, front and rear, but you can spin them around so that they can face inside the vehicle. And these are dash cameras, and so they record in a loop, all right? And by recording in a loop, what I mean is it will continuously record onto its memory card. And when the memory card becomes full, it will automatically erase the oldest stuff and start to replace it with the newest stuff in a continuous loop. Automatically does that for you. And unless there's some sort of an event that happens will automatically be protected, and you can go back and view that event later. An event could be something like a crash, or you were almost in a crash and you swerved the vehicle hard, or something like that. Okay, so those events are automatically protected, and the cameras are built with very high Pioneer quality of product and Pioneer quality build. You can expect that from these cameras. So with two different types of cameras, it's worth noting here that the Vrec Dh300d is not, that's the higher end one, and that is a hardwire install camera. That one is not available in Canada right now, and it's a weird story about, we had the product in the pipeline to ship for North America, and at that time, the Canadian government changed their rules on batteries inside products and how they can appear in consumer level products. And we got caught somewhere in the middle there, and didn't work out for us. And so that product can't be sold in Canada. We expect, though, that there is a newer version of that
Oh,
product that'll
good
be
news.
coming out in the not too distant future that will remove that that internal battery and become available to the Canadian marketplace. The other one is Vrec Dh300d. This is kind of a little bit more of an entry-level camera, though it's still 2-channel. Front and rear cameras that can be pointed to the inside or the outside. And it is a more of a do-it-yourself type of a product. It has a cigarette lighter adapter, and you can plug in the cigarette lighter adapter and run a wire or two, and you are in business with it. And there's options for installation with that.
Well, I was just going to say, for the model that is available in Canada, is there a hardwire kit that's available for that one?
There is. Okay, so the Vrec DC700DC is the higher end one, and it has an internal battery that gives you parking mode and becomes your digital witness, as we say, when the vehicle is parked. Now, the 300 model, which is the one that's available in Canada, does not have that internal battery because it's a cigarette lighter adapter. Plug it into the cigarette lighter adapter. When you turn the vehicle off, it's done. Okay, so we've developed a hardwire kit for that product so that you can make it one that has parking mode and so forth to be your digital witness while you're not there in the vehicle. Now, the hardwire kit is an add-on part for it, and when we add on the hardwire kit, that hardwire that into the vehicle. Now that's going to use the vehicle's battery as backup to the camera. All right, and there are some settings on the side, just to touch on it very quickly. There are some settings on the side of this hardwire kit so that you can choose to set it up as a timer so that the camera will run for an hour, 2 or 3, something like that. Or it will set up as a thing that monitors your battery. And when your battery level reaches a certain voltage, it will automatically shut off the camera in order to protect the battery. And that's because we can't have you coming back to your car and the car doesn't start.
Right.
I mean, that just can't be that way. And so, the hardwire kit monitors that for you and will protect the battery of the vehicle.
And just to close on this this topic, it's very important that dealers understand that the Pioneer dash cams offer that availability of the hardwire kit, for your specialty installs and for those customers that you already have in the bay, the pre-qualified customers. You can upgrade them to a Pioneer 2-channel system with that hardwire kit, and that's the beauty of these products.
That's absolutely right, Ben. See, I think that many 12-volt dealers, and I've been in this business like forever, okay? I think that many 12-volt dealers feel that the camera sort of falls outside of where they want to be with car audio products. I so disagree. You sell security products. You have to view that camera as a security product. A guy comes in and drops $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 on a system with install, another $250 so that he can have a digital witness in his vehicle, protecting his vehicle, is nothing. If I'm dropping 10 grand, another 250, so I can feel better about myself, there is nothing to that. If you see it that way, it becomes almost a give me add-on.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I want to thank you, Harry, as per usual, for you taking the time to come in and educating us a little bit about ADAS, dash cams, and of course the Pioneer offering within the segment.
Thanks a lot, Ben. It's always fun.
So if you're interested to find out more about the products that Harry spoke to, you want to check out pioneerelectronics.com and the same website to find out who your best option for distribution is. Also pioneerelectronics.com, and send in the inquiry under dealer, and I'm sure they will direct you the right way. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the brands that joined us this evening. Great brands: iBeam, Pioneer, Rostra, Mio, Automobility, and of course EchoMaster. I want to inform everybody tuning in to continue tuning in to CMA Networks right through until October 12th as we continue on with the ADAS sessions featuring all these great premier brands. One brand every day featured at 12 p.m. Eastern. Now, big contest. I'm going to talk about it every single day until we draw the winners. It's the Ultimate Fab Experience. Win an opportunity to get yourself to the 23 MasterTech Expo in Mesa, Arizona. All you got to do is head over to cmanetworks.com/giveaway. It's a simple form. Fill it out. We're drawing a winner from Canada and another one from the US. cmanetworks.com/giveaway. And while you're there, make sure you check out all the great videos all the great episodes of CMA Live or anything else in between, check out the ADAS categories or peruse our catalog of different trainers and the videos that they've done with us. CMA Networks is where the 12-volt industry connects. Thanks for sticking with us on this ADAS edition of CMA Live presented by SiriusXM. Have a good night, everybody. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
Stop it. Yo, roll it down. I am. You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?